Hey class, welcome to 11.2, transformations of data. I want to do a quick warm up to start. So I want to just find, with this data set, it's the weight of 8 astronauts here. Find the mean, median, mode, range, and standard deviation. So remember, on the calculator steps, we go to stat, option number 1, edit, and I've already entered the data in there. So you can see I have in L1 those values. Once you enter them, then you go back to stat, hit the right arrow over to calculate, and then we push number 1. And if your calculator looks like mine, you just go down to calculate. If you have the 83, you just hit enter. And I hit enter right there. So remember some notation. X bar stands for the mean. All right, we don't need to worry about the rest of this stuff. Notice N is important. I'm sorry, I skipped over standard deviation, which is 9.313, etc. N stands for our number of data values. So notice we had 8 astronauts. And then I want to push the down arrow. And I can see minimum, Q1. There's median is 158. And there's my max. So max 175 minus the min is the range. All right. And then the mode is which one happens the most. So here we have our data. Here are our answers. The mean, the median, the mode, the range, the standard deviation. Hopefully write those numbers down, do this calculation, practice it, because we're going to need these numbers as we go through on their next couple of examples. All right, so here's our title today, Apply Transformations to Data. Actually, we're not going to do the second part here. We're only going to do the transformations. Sorry about that mistake. Okay. All right, now, what happens to the 8 astronauts once they put on a 250-pound spacesuit? Well, I'm no longer going to use the average of 158 because now I have much more weight that I need to worry about. Okay, so, and I go back, I have to re-enter my data here. So I go stat, edit, number 1. All right, and I can just type right over the top is another way to do this. 416 and 425. Okay, and then now again when I hit stat, arrow to the right to calculate number 1 and calculate my 1 variable statistics, I have new information. So I just want to remind you of this is the old mean, median, mode, range, standard deviation. Notice the new mean. So remember notation, mean, median, mode, then range, and then also notation here for standard deviation is that sigma. All right, notice our new mean is 408. All right, our standard deviation there is still 9.31 right there. My arrow down, I get a new median. New median is 408. Now the mode, which one happens to be the most? The mode is then 410. And then notice the range is now from 425 is the max to 392 is the min. So our range is still 33. Well, look at what we used to have over here, and look at what we do have now in blue. Notice what changed. Notice the range and standard deviation all stayed the same. But what happened to the mean, median, and mode? Notice 408 is just an increase of 250 from 158. And then 160 to 410 is another increase of 250. So really, I did way too much work on this problem. All I really had to do was to add 250 to the mean, median, mode. I did not change the range of standard deviation. All right, because I still went from 425 to 392, and so that range is exactly the same. And remember, standard deviation is the average distance to the mean. So the distance to the mean and the average distance there, that notice also stay the same. So we have a key concept that we just discovered here. Here it is. When adding a constant to data values, all right, when a constant is added to every new data set, the mean, median, and mode of the new data set can be obtained by adding the same constant to the mean, median, mode. Notice range and standard deviation are unchanged. Okay. Well, let's just go to the other key concept here. Notice when I multiply data values by a constant, when I do that, I end up with a new mean, median, mode, range, and standard deviation. So everything changes when you multiply a data value by a constant, and we multiply it by whatever that constant is. All right, so here's an example. Well, not every NASA program, not every space program in the world uses pounds. So what if we were going to team up with, say, the Russians? All right, we're going to have to change our weight to kilograms. Well, I don't need to re-put the data in. Notice I didn't even have the data. Don't even have the data here. All I have to do is I'm going to multiply each constant by 4.45 kilograms. So I just can multiply the mean, median, mode, range, standard deviation by that. So I can just take 158 multiplied by 0.45. All right, I already have 158 done again. I can take 160 and multiply it by 0.45. All right, I can take 33, multiply it by 0.45, and I can take 9.31 and multiply it by 0.45. It's the same constant. And so now, all right, on here, where is it? There it is. There's my new mean, median, mode, range, and again, remember standard deviation. The median is the same, mode, range, standard deviation. Now notice on this time I labeled my answers because I forgot to label on the other side, but make sure you do have your answers labeled. So again, I didn't have to go through and retype the data in. I can save a lot of time by using those key concepts. And just a reminder, if I'm multiplying by a constant, I change everything. If I'm adding or subtracting, I only change the central tendencies, or I only change the m's. All right? So that gets us to our video. So hopefully you can finish those up and do that assignment. That's for today. And hopefully you can get time to catch up on everything else. Good luck. Have a great day.